We'll move to the next one. Item 15, host agreement workshop relating to the proposed host agreement submitted by 130 Environmental Park.
One of the things I heard last week was that if there were particular legal questions that you had of Mr. Weber, Jordan, or myself that required legal advice to the county, legal ramifications. I told you about the attorney-client privilege. I noted that under item number 16 that there is a agenda item that talks about the proposed host agreement that also includes executive session language for legal advice concerning those legal ramifications. I think we talked about briefly if it was the terms within the host agreement that was going to be discussed in the host agreement. And then I think y'all also wanted some sort of update on the status of the TCEQ matter that was also discussed last week. There's no need for me to repeat that discussion. I just wanted to bring that back to the court's attention about legal issues. But otherwise, if y'all have some form of discussion or workshop concerning the various terms in the host agreement, I'll let you proceed, Judge.
I would like to see possibly either a $500,000 or a $1 million advance the first year, and the host fees from $1 to $1.50 a ton. I would like all the city host fees. I would like to look at possibly 50 cents, maybe some variance we need to discuss. Possibly the smaller cities receiving maybe a little smaller amount, larger cities a larger amount. The one thing, too, I want to make sure the legal wording and everything is going to protect the people of Caldwell County. I don't want there to be some wording in there where they could, and I'll get to an example in a minute, I'm unsure about out of state. In one place, it's all going to be within the state. I want to make sure the source of all the stuff is from inside the state of Texas. The landfill elevation, I would like to see that move possibly down to 150 versus the 175. Buffer zone at 250, possibly move that to 400. I have a question about the hours of operation. If it's going to be a 24-hour and then only a certain time on Sunday, but the hours of operation, I'm not clear on when they're going to be operating. The host fee adjustment, instead of a 2% cap, a 4% cap. And I have a question on the exceptions on the abatement program. I haven't seen those in some of the other ones. If it's less than $10 a ton, there's no fees at all. I didn't want them to go in if there's something where they're going to make it $11, but it's cheaper for them to make it $9.90 not to pay a host fee. I want to maybe look at maybe not having that. The county tipping fees, I'm not sure what they are at this point in time. I've looked at some of the other ones. That's something I just need to discuss and work with them on. I don't have a problem with the community pavilion. I do have a question about tires. That was another question. I know that they have a 2 cubic yard limit for the citizens when they take free stuff out there. I'm not sure where tires go into play, if they can even accept them. Scholarships, maybe we could possibly add something there. On the insurance, on the umbrella, $3 million, I'd like to see that raised to $5 million. I would like to find out if there has been anyone charged or if they've been convicted of any bad acts in the last 3 years, and also in the last 5 years, any felony violations of any federal environmental laws. The other question I have is if for some reason they cannot, they will reimburse us if 3 days we cannot make a disposal. Are they going to just reimburse us for the additional expenses to dispose of it somewhere else? That's a question I have. I have a question on the property value protection program. I know that they're about over 1,200 acres, which is almost 2 square miles, and they're going to do something for the owners who have legal title. And I don't think that's going to be that many people involved in this, because within 1 mile, if it's in the middle, I mean, you can almost go, that's 5,280 feet. There may not be a lot of people that even are going to apply under this. But if there are people out there that have, say, a contract for sale or a lease to own, to where they only have 2 months or 6 months of payments left, that then it becomes theirs, that needs to be maybe negotiated if they're within a short period of time have actually been able to transfer property into their name, and they've been paying on it for 29 and a half years. The other question on this property protection, you have to have a residence on it, and it can be up to 30 acres, but what if they have half the property, say 15 acres within the 1 mile, but the residence that's built on the property is over a mile? Would that be part of the program? Another item would be the capture and sale of landfill gas, if that were to happen, for the county not to receive less than 12% of the revenues. I would like to look at possibly doing something for both the Lockhart and the Luling Library. I'm not sure what type of recycling facility they plan on having. I'd like to get some more information on that to see if we could do something a little more extreme. I'd like to see an advertising campaign to educate the citizens of Caldwell County. I think our county is a mess, and if people are hammered on what to do, I think if we had some type of advertising campaign, they could clean Caldwell County up. In another county, they've done a $50,000 a year grant for a grant writer. Caldwell County is in dire need of a grant writer. I would like to see something similar to that if possible. And like I said, on another host agreement, they paid $50,000 a year for up to 10 years to fund a grant writer with some stipulations in that. I would like to get some estimates on what it costs to do environmental inspections. Put something in the agreement that we will have environmental inspections periodically, whether it be once a year. I don't know what would be normal in a situation like that or what is done. Maybe it's done already, but if it's not, I'd like to make sure to see that that is done. I don't have a problem negotiating some as far as the height versus maybe having to add a few acres, but again, I think that's pretty much got most of what I was concerned about. Again, I just want to make sure that the wording and the language is acceptable to where we are protected.
I would just like to say that's a pretty impressive list, but I am in precinct 4, and that's where the proposed landfill is, precinct 4. Not one sentence was in there talking about the safety and welfare of the people that's right in the kill zone within 2-mile radius of that landfill. Nothing was said about that. I think they're the ones that should get the money. I mean, they're the ones that are going to be putting up with all the headache, all the traffic, all the stink, or whatever. I do not want to forget about my people. That's what I was elected for. They have one voice, and that's mine. And I'm going to use my voice to protect them. Let me just tell you about this host agreement. I think we need to quit playing with ourselves. They're not going to do anything that they promised to do. They don't have to. Why would they? What they're doing is buying my shut up. They're buying my vote. Once I sign a host agreement, the only thing I'm going to be doing is giving away every bit of power that I have, which the state legislature didn't see fit to give me much of. I'm going to just give all that away. Okay, we got the host agreement signed here. I don't like the way y'all are doing this. Where did you sign it? Did you read it right? This is these guys' business. This is their life. They know exactly what to put in stuff and exactly how to carry that and exactly how to drag it out. We're going to be sitting here depending on them to go along with that host agreement. And we've already seen what's happening in Waller County. What, y'all wasn't listening to them when they was getting up there talking? You think they were lying? Did you see David Green on tape? Did he look real comfortable to you? Look, if we sign this host agreement, all we're doing is binding ourselves, not just us, but future courts from here on. Something is wrong with that. And me, I can't go along with that. We need to quit playing with ourselves. We're not going to get anything out of it, no matter which way we go. The moment they landed in Caldwell County, we were screwed. I'm through.
Well, I'm not for the landfill, but if we happen to have it, we'll be here. I'd like to see us try to maybe get something out of it, but I'm not really for it. But what I'd like to see in this agreement, if we we have one, is that we have 11 volunteer fire departments in Schawe County. I'd like to see at least 2 new brush trucks per year, and the cost of them are around $125,000 each for 22 years. So that means each department will get 2 new brush trucks to help fight the fire. Also, I'd like to see the Union Road system get $100,000 per year, 25 years. Because Schawe Road is going to be real close to that. And they say they're not going to be going down those roads, but I know they will. And so that just help us out fixing our roads back there. Also, I'd like to see the Sheriff's Department get 2 new patrol vehicles per year for 20 years. And then I'd like to see the City of Luling receive the same amount proposed as the City of Lockhart. They proposed 12.5 cents, and the City of Luling should get 12.5 cents. We're going to have the same traffic to Luling as Lockhart. I think that should be the same, no matter if it's 12 or $1 or whatever. Also like to see the J.B. Nichols Memorial Library in Luling receive $30,000. Also like to see the Luling ISD, the Lockhart ISD, and the Prairie Lee ISD receive $5,000 each for their library program. And also I'd like to see the Luling ISD, the Lockhart ISD, and the Prairie Lee ISD receive 2 scholarships, $2,000 scholarships for 25 years.
Anything else?
Yeah, if we're asking, I would like to see a $3 million cash upfront, the commencement date, and then $2 million for the duration of the contract. Per year? Per year.
Is that in addition to the tipping fee?
Yes.
I mean, because it seems to me like here we are asking for different things, and if you give me this, I will sign that host agreement. You know, the Supreme Court says that, what it says? It says, here the Texas State Supreme Court has said that the power conferred on the government for public purposes cannot be bartered away. Government entities cannot cede away such powers through contracts and others with others so that disable them from performing their public duties. You know, that sounds kind of like contradicting to what we're doing. Another thing, we keep on talking about what we want, what we want. What does Green Group want? What does Green Group want for $25 million? You know, we're not talking about any of those things. We're just talking about what we want. We would like to get compensation for this, compensation for that, and we will sign away everything. What does Green Group want? Maybe the landfill siting ordinance lifted, county support now and in the future, forever, once we sign that. County support now and for the future to help develop the landfill infrastructure. Any permitting issues with other development ordinances, cooperation or joint operation or action cited with GGH, the company. County cannot let any other landfill to operate in this county. I mean, these are things that we're not even looking at. We're just looking at like, gimme, and I will sign this agreement. We need to see what they want for that money that we're asking. You know, I mean, it just, I don't know. I mean, it seems to me that there's a lot more than just receiving what we're going to get. It's about what we're going to lose. You know, I mean, after all, we were elected by the people of this county to represent, and we got to look at both sides. I mean, I'm not close. I mean, Everybody's got to make a living. If a green group makes a living out of making the land sites, well, that's their job. But in the process of them doing that, they have to see how they're going to hurt our community or benefit our community. You know, there's two sides. So we have to look at these other things too. Not just about what they're going to give us. What we're giving up. What's it going to cost to get that? You know, the health of our people, the full economic development of our community that we've been working so hard for. I don't know, there's a lot to look at. Please step back, take a good look.
If we're done, I think what my question now is, what's the next step? Do y'all sit down with the Green Group and review and negotiate this and bring it back, or what do we do there?
I think I've got to go.
No one's even, to my knowledge, sat down and discussed any type of flooding issues, the height, the footprint amount, or anything with Green Group. I think someone needs to sit down with Green Group, and probably the last person needs to sit down with Green Group is myself, not unless I have an attorney present and or an attorney or Ms. Perales. I don't have a problem with that, but someone needs to sit down and discuss the issue. And I'm not sure if the opposing party is even interested whatsoever. You know, it may be an all or none for them. I don't know that. But if there are concerns, that's what I've been asking for this whole time, as far as the travel, the roads, the traffic, the flooding, the height, you know, the soil, the underground water. Those are the things that I've been asking for, you know, from the get-go. But I don't think there's been any interest in discussing this with Green Group. But again, I would be more than willing to sit down, but I want witnesses. I don't want anybody to come back saying I'm taking all kind of paychecks and doing all this other sort of stuff. I'm here to help. I'm here for both parties, and just need to know direction on where we should go from here.
Including the workshop.
Well, I think we need to go ahead and include the workshop and move to item 16.
Because the workshop is not an action item.
Right. Call the meeting back to order. Item 16, discussion action concerning proposed host agreement and litigation between Caldwell County and 130 Environmental Park. At this point in time, we need to discuss what we want the attorneys to do. Again, my concern is I want to keep this as efficient financially as possible. I don't see a point of having our attorney go put all of this stuff into an additional or another host agreement, then going to Green Group and going over it and having to go back and redo it all again. To me, that's just double work. It costs us double. I think you should take the items we've discussed here and the legal aspects, go visit with them, see what they will and won't do, and then bring that back. I don't want to have the attorney go do everything we put into it, spend the money, and to come back and then go, and then have to go redo it again. He might as well go sit down right off the bat and not spend all the time doing a agreement. He needs to go see what they will and will not agree to, then go back and either bring it back to us and or do the proposal then. I don't want to go do one with everything we've put into it and go and they say no this, no, no, no. Then he has to go back and redo it again. That's just going to cost the taxpayers additional money.
So your proposal would be just to let the lawyers take care of it and us not know what they're talking about?
Well, they're going to go take care of it in what we've told them to do.
No, but we also talked about legal aspects.
They're going to fix those legal aspects.
But we wouldn't know how they would have changed that.
Then once they go and they get that adjusted, they'll bring back a closer to finalized draft.
I don't feel comfortable not knowing what has been changed in their legal. I know
they're not going to pass it or anything. They're just going to go work it out and bring it back to it.
I understand they're not going to pass it, but again, we're not going to know what they're going to be negotiating. That's my whole point.
Well, they're going to be negotiating what we've told them to negotiate.
I'd rather see whatever they're going to propose before we even agree to go along with it. Because we may have disagreed completely, say, and come back and say, no, I'm not comfortable with the host agreement the way it's been put together and present to green groups. I'd rather see something first before we hand it on over, not knowing what's in there. I know we've discussed things, the three of us have discussed something, things up here in front, but not knowing what the legal part of it is, whether it's changed or whether it's going to stay the same. That's my point.
We're not going to vote on anything. We're just going to get something to look at.
That's my whole point.
But it's no use going through two different steps.
I'd rather go through two different steps to know what I'm going to be
So
voting on.
you want the attorney to go put everything down, get an agreement together,
Correct.
and then bring it back to us,
Correct.
and then go take that to Green Group.
If we agree to let him go that route, we may, once we see the new version of whatever is brought to us, I mean, how do we know we want to negotiate that? I mean, at this point, we're just saying go ahead and go. I'd rather see something in front of me, and then at that point, I can make a decision whether I want to proceed with the host agreement or not.
Do you want to proceed with the host agreement at all?
At this point, I want to see what's going to be brought back to us that our legal counselor is going to put together. I mean, there's a lot of things in this host agreement that I don't agree with.
Okay.
And by just saying, let's just let them get together and talk about it, and we're out of the loop. We need to know what's going on. We can't just not be out of the loop.
I just think you're wasting taxpayers' money by doing that. Because we're not going to vote on anything anyway. We can change it whenever we want to change it, once they bring it back to us.
I don't feel comfortable doing this. That's just my opinion. I just don't. I'd rather just see something brought back to us, and then we decide whether we want to move forward with it or not.
I mean, I'm sure if I asked for a Learjet and that thing, I doubt that Green Group is going to approve to give me a Learjet or anything. So, I mean, again, I'd like to know and let someone sit down with them to discuss what we will or we will not have available to us.
But wasn't that what this host agreement was? They gave it to us so we could discuss it and then decide how we're going to, what we want to put in here and what we want to detract from there?
If you want to spend the extra money, that's...
You know, at some point, I understand that we're talking about money and everything, but at some point...
And we don't even know what money we're talking about yet.
Correct. So my motion is to let legal get together with our DA and come up with an agreement, with a proposal, I guess is what you would call it, and bring it back for us to review it and give us the opportunity to look it over.
So basically what you're asking is you're going to ask legal to take the host agreement, make the changes we've discussed here today, bring it back, have us look at it, then give them the go-ahead to go, if we like that, give them the go-ahead to then go to Green Group at that point in time and negotiate.
Correct. If we agree to it. I mean, we don't know what changes are going to be made in there. We've talked about legal, but we haven't, until we see it in writing, we're not quite sure what they're going to be bringing to us.
Okay, is that clear, what we're asking?